How many of you have used hashtags before, or you seen them? A hashtag is something that, and you look at the symbol, you say, oh, that look like a pound sign. Some of you look at it and you say, oh, this is just a messed up tic-tac-toe board. But what this is called is called a hashtag. And simply what you would do is you will put this in front of words or phrases to label or represent something. So a hashtag is a label. Or for the sake of my sermon, the hashtag will be the label. Question that I have for you right now is, who has the right to hashtag or label something? Think about it. When you go to the store and you buy your brand new pair of Jordans, you get a nice little pair of Nikes, or you buy a polo shirt, every time you buy something, you see their logo or something that represents the company, right? For instance, when you buy Nike, the only way that you know that you got some real Nikes is by the swoosh. And I'm sorry, but if you bought some Nikes without a swoosh, take them back. So the question is, who or what has the right to label something? The first that I came up with, that I discovered, is one of the first people who have the right to label something is the maker. Oh, what are you saying? I just told you, when you go and you buy Nike or you buy Polo, they always put their label on it. And the reason why that they're able to do that is because they're the creator. So I can't go and tell Nike, hey, I'm going to buy your pair of shoes, I'm going to put my own symbol on it and sell it, because then they're going to look at me like, you must be stupid. Because I am the creator and I have the right to label anything I want. The second is the buyer. Here's why the buyer has the right. Pastor, when you bought your laptop from the store, they didn't tell you that you had to buy a certain case to go with it. They didn't tell you that you had to buy a certain mouse or a certain keyboard to go with it. But what they said to you is, now it's yours because you paid for it. So when you get home, you can do whatever you want to with it. You can put all your in it. You can color it. You can paint it. You can do whatever you want. As long as what? You bought it. So one, the maker, and two, the buyer. What or who has the right to hashtag you? Watch this. Here's why this is an important question. Because if you can answer this question, it will change every single thing about your life. It will make everything that seemed normal at first become a little bit different. Because at first you went from saying, oh man, maybe I have the right to hashtag or to label something. We just said, for one, maker and the buyer are the ones who have it. The question is, what are you, or who has the right to hashtag you? Throughout life, people are constantly sticking labels or hashtag on us, telling us what we can or what we cannot become. Sometimes this is good. I'm not saying all hashtags are bad. People speak faith into us through different symbols and labels that they place on you, but there are some times where negative labels are placed on you. Let's be honest, you can't stop people from talking bad about you. You can't stop people from calling you what they want to call you because that's their opinion. But what you can do is ignore every single thing that they say. You have to understand that the devil doesn't fight for you where you are. He fights for you where you're going to go. I think I have to say that again. The devil does not fight for you where you are. He fights for you because of where you're going to go. So young people, the devil is not concerned about here and now. He's concerned about where God is going to take you in the future. And so in order to interrupt where he's going to take you, he has to discourage you. He has to make you feel inferior to everyone else. He has to make you feel low and dirty and worth nothing, because his job is to keep you from reaching your goal. So if that's the case, Why do we accept these labels? Why is it when people call us ugly in school, we accept it? Why is it when people call us dumb, we accept it? Why is it when people tell us that we will never make it, we accept it? I've seen too many people drop out of high school simply because someone told them that they would never make it. Too many young people are taking their own lives simply because of what someone says to them. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't believe that that's what God wants. Some of you today, you have allowed these hashtags to be stitched into your hearts. Some of you even been carrying these hashtags for like 20 years. Maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 50. And these hashtags have become a part of you. People always wondering, why is he so mean when he come to church? Why is he never doing anything with his life? Because somebody probably told him he would never do nothing. We look at people who abandon their children and we question why that happens, but have you ever stopped to realize what someone else has said to them? People told me literally, you will end up like your dad, no good, broke, and in the streets. I don't know about you, but I ain't broke, I ain't no good, and I ain't in the street. But here's why I say that, is because people tend to place these labels on you based off of your circumstances, the house that you grow up in, the family that you have, and people look at you as if they're better than you. But the reality is, I'm no better than you, and you're no better than me. The fact is today, right now, sitting at this church, all the eyes that are looking at me, everybody sitting in here has a hashtag on their life. Whether you accept the hashtag or you living it out to the fullest, you have a hashtag. I'm going to show you one of the hashtags that I had. When I was a kid, yeah, a cute little boy, that was a long time ago. Long time ago. I was about 2nd grade. That was my hashtag. 2nd grade. Hearing from his own instructor, his teacher, that you're this. And as a kid, I don't know how to explain it, but that stuff just, it sits with you. My mom sent me here so that you can teach me, but you're telling me that I'm stupid. And in fact, I remember this same teacher went to my mom and said, I think your son needs some Ritalin. Something is wrong with your son. And I can't tell you what my mama said, but let me just tell you, it wasn't nice. This was my label. And believe it or not, this followed me even until today. Going through school was very difficult because I was like, why be here? You already told me I was stupid, so I'm just going to sit around. I'm just going to chill. I'm just going, hey, it's my time. Every day going by, coming to school, pretending that I'm doing classwork and pretending when I go home that I got homework, but I'm really doing nothing. So one day a teacher came to me and said, yo, he was like, I think you have more potential than anybody in this classroom. Why do you let yourself feel as if you're stupid? He was like, I read your reports. You're smart. I was like, man, I ain't smart, man. You know, you can go on with that. Because somebody had told me that I was stupid at an early age. And believe it or not, there are young people here who have been told the same thing. Whether it's been by a teacher, a friend, a parent. Yes, parents. And by the way, while we're on that, parents, please be careful what and how you say to your children. Because they remember everything. And even if you don't mean it that way, they take it that way. And they might not always tell you, because I know they might not always tell you, but it's there. And you wonder why they act out, why they don't respect you. If I could be honest with you, it also came from my mom. I was in so much trouble, and I don't know if she really meant to say it, but she said it. She said, "So stupid." Like, okay, you just confirmed what somebody else just said. So I'm just going to wild out even more. Then she would try to discipline me. I don't even know you like that. Like, you think I'm stupid. I'm your child. I came from you. So what you think about yourself, you know? And it was so weird because it was hurtful. She would come home and I just lock myself in a room. Like, I don't want to be around you. And it took for me from elementary school to about high school to finally say, "Mom, I love you. In spite of what you feel, in spite of what you think about me, I love you." She looked at me and she said, "Son," she said, "I never in my life would want to ever give you an impression that I don't love you." I said, "That ain't the big deal. The deal is you told me that I was stupid. Not good enough." I was preaching my first revival at that age. I was like 15, 16. And I remember, Pastor, when I finished that revival, Pastor came up to me and said, "That wasn't good." This is the same pastor. Remember the last time I was here, I told me that I would never make it. It wasn't good. Do you know how that affected me? That's what this being up here is who I am. I feel comfortable up here. You put me in anything else, you put me at that piano, I'm just going to look at you like you stupid. Because this is where I feel more comfortable. This is my calling. This is what God has placed in my life. And I'm sorry if some people don't understand that. And some people are like, "Well, you shouldn't always want to be up front." And it's not that, but God has called me to something. But he told me, he said, "Nah, that wasn't good." And he wasn't joking. He meant it. It's like, okay. Even right now today, as I stand before you, that's how I feel. When people call me and ask me to preach, God has taken me places I never thought I would go. This is why I don't accept them. This is why when I do accept them, I'm so nervous, and I'm always thinking about how people are going to see me, and if people are going to walk up to me afterwards and say, "No, that was a bad sermon," because of that. So you can imagine at 16, now 23, how long it has stayed with me. People have constantly come to me and said, "Preacher, we love your sermons. We love the way you preach." And I'm like, I didn't do good enough. Why? Because the hashtag that was placed on my life, I accepted it. I accepted being not good enough. In school, I was never good at sports. So, I could run fast. That was it. So you can imagine when it came time to play football or basketball, who they picked. They sure didn't pick me. Because if you would have picked me, then you're going to lose. When it came to other things outside of school and outside of church, I had never exceeded the way that I should because I never felt that I was good enough, or there were opportunities that were presented to me that I never took because I thought I wasn't good enough. Said that the devil wants to fight you for where you are, not for where you are, but for where you're going. He started with me back in second grade, and he never let up. Some of you are sitting here looking at me and saying, "Well, I don't have no hashtag." Yes, you do. Ain't nobody in here perfect. No matter how good you look, you not that perfect. Everybody sitting here looking at me has a hashtag, and your hashtag might be different from mine, but we all have them. Let's look at something else. God is simply the only one who has the right to hashtag you. So many times we accept these hashtags placed on us by the enemy and by people that we begin to take it in and believe that that's who we are. But the reality is, Pastor, that's not who you are. Because I was said that I wasn't good enough, because they said that I was stupid, that's not who I was, and that's not who I am. God has amazing things in store for your future. So the devil will try to discourage you. He'll intimidate you. He'll make you feel inferior. Words like seeds, if you dwell on them long enough, fruit. Wrong labels can keep you from your destiny. Don't go the next 20 years allowing negative comments to hold you back. People will label you not good enough. They will label you dirty. They will label you stinky. They will label you slow, too old, too young, a mistake, you're a failure. Make sure that you are not wearing those labels. Now, I don't get it. People literally walk around with those labels. Are you some of these labels? And if so, I want you to just think for a second and try to figure out how long you've been holding these labels. It might not be my labels, but think about how long you've been holding your labels. The failure, the stupid, the never will succeed. How long have you been holding these labels? For the adults, maybe your hashtag is divorce. So because you've been through rocky marriages and a rocky marriage, that you feel unwanted. Maybe your hashtag is, I would end up like my parents. That's not your hashtag. Is it what a coach said? Is it what a teacher or a parent or a friend or a classmate said? If you're going to reach the highest potential, you got to say, no thanks. I don't need your labels. I don't want anything that you have to offer me, because what you have to say doesn't mean anything to me. You call me a slur learner. That's not who I am. That may be your opinion, but another opinion from my Creator says that I'm better than that. The text says, all you who are weary and heavy burden, and he will give you rest. Let's look at that. First of all, he says, come to me. It's an invitation. He didn't say, oh, you could probably come to me if you want to. He said, come to me. And what? Come to me, all who? And I will do what? Give you rest. You got some labels on you right now that's out. Some hashtags. When I was in elementary school, my best friend, I had a best friend since elementary school. When we got to high school, his brother was in elementary school. He came home and found his brother hanging from the ceiling. And the major reason was of what people were saying to him. When he went to school, people said, oh, you dirty. You stink. You ugly. And so because of that, and he was like, okay, that's who I am. I don't want to live here no more. 10 years old, took his own life because of some negative labels that had been placed on him. Don't let negative labels hold you back. The same God that can deliver you from everything else can deliver you from those hashtags. Students, that same God that blessed you with that A magically on that test can do it again. Here's another thing that I did not like. We settle for average. We're always told we're average. We're just normal. We're average. But I don't believe that, because I believe I serve the greatest God of all time. And my God says that you are greater than anything. With me, all things are simply possible. Don't let your hashtags or your labels define who you are. Because you are greater, you are so much better than what people think you are, and you have so much potential than you would ever think of yourself. Every time you think of on those hashtags, Sister Doris, you give it power. You give it power. You give it power to not only resonate in you, but to take over. You give it power to do anything that it wanted to do. That's like when an addict says, oh yeah, I'm an addict. And usually what you will see when people call themselves a certain thing, it them the longest or the most difficult time to break free. Because that's what you think of yourself. You don't think of yourself as being anything greater than what you are. Instead of saying, God says that I am clean, I'm free, I'm healthy. I mean, I understand that you got to admit that you got to walk around on hey, I'm an addict. Because then the question is going to be, okay, how long are you just going to use that as an excuse? How many times, this is what God had to say to me, how many times, Jamon, are you going to stand in front of churches and tell them that you're not good enough, but yet I give you the ability to stand there? Needless to say, when I got to high school, graduated 4.0. That same year, Oakwood ended that semester 4.0, so forth and so forth. But the negative label, that if I kept that with me, would have stopped me from being here today. I would have never known my potential. And some of you would never go to college if you keep letting that hashtag stay on you. Some of you would never go to the heights in which God has called you to. Some of you would never be the people that God has called you to be. Do you understand? In this church today, there are some young people who will lead this world to where God wants it to be. But in order to do that, you have to stop labeling yourself. Stop saying you're not good enough, because you're good enough. You're more than good enough. When you believe all things are possible, doors will open that never should have opened. God would take you from the back and place you in the front. Don't let all these washed up, dried up, ignorant folk label you with all this mess. God says my mercy is bigger than any mistake. And I can still get you to your destiny. God says that your future, you are not a mistake. You are not a failure. You're not what they say. All that matters is what I say. That's what God said. God said that you feel unwanted. It's like you'll accept it. He said, I created you. I'm the one who breathed the breath of life into you. I took out of my precious time, actually get down and form and shape every single thing about you. And ladies, I understand that some guys might call you ugly, but realize that you're made after the Creator. I tell my daughter every day that I wake up, I say, look, Naomi, you're only 11 months, but I love you and you're beautiful. And I make sure she understands you're beautiful, because I don't want no knucklehead coming along telling her otherwise. Because if that happens, she know Daddy said, I'm beautiful. And my hope is, my prayer is, no one would ever tell her that, but Yeah. Loved. God said you're loved. He said maybe your hashtag is abused. Maybe your hashtag is misused. Maybe your parents walked out of your life. Maybe that husband, that wife walked out. You don't feel loved. Or maybe people talk about you so much that you don't even find yourself attractive. God says that you're loved. Bible says God sent his son to die for us. Why? Because of his love for us. He didn't do it just to do it. He did it so that you live your life the way that he has designed you to live. God said, I give you beauty for those ashes. I'll pay back double fold the unfair things that had happened to you. And you wouldn't be alive unless God had a victory in your life. Beautiful. Told you, I tell my daughter that all the time. She's beautiful. Maybe your parent called you ugly. Maybe someone said something about you that didn't quite fit with you. God says, I see the seeds of greatness in your life. God said that I placed those seeds in you and I see it. And it's so easy to let someone who has spoken over us keep us from really believing in ourselves. You may have negative things spoken to you and you may have done it to someone else, but nothing that has happened in your past to keep you from your destiny will ever keep you from your destiny. If you made a mistake, if you're going through unfair situations, if you show it to be in the wrong and shake off the self-pity and move forward with your life, you will find yourself to be much better. Will you dare to be like a David? David was a young boy, and the story says that Samuel goes to Jesse. God says, go to Jesse. I need a new king. When Samuel gets to Jesse, he notices that Jesse has a bunch of boys. I mean, he has a bunch of boys. Jesse has them line up in front of Samuel, and Samuel looks at the one. He says, oh, you're strong. He goes to the other one. He says, oh, man, you look better than me. He goes to the other one, and he keeps going until he gets to the last, and he's like, wait, do you have any more? And Jesse is like, what do you mean, do I have any more? Yes, I have one more, but why is that important? My sons, I mean, you have to understand about these other sons. They were warriors. They were fighters, so they were big. So why do you want somebody else? You have all you need right here. Samuel tells Jesse, go get your son, bring him to me. When David comes to him, he looks at him, he's like, God, you sure this is going to be the next king? Look at this little dirty boy. He stink. He smell like sheep. But this is the next king? God was like, yo, Samuel, shut up and do what I said. I told you that he's the next king. You did your own thing by labeling everybody else. And when I told you specifically who was going to be the king, you didn't listen. And then you had the audacity after I told you who was going to be the king to question my authority. You labeled him too small, too dirty. He wasn't attractive enough. But the reality is David was a nice looking boy. He was just very shy. It's like one of those shy Casanovas, one of those shy players, he just stayed to himself. And if you look at the life of David, David grows up. He becomes king. He's a great king. So one of his hashtags is great king. And great leader. Then all of a sudden, something happened. Now the label says murderer, adulterer, fornicator. He wasn't even fit to be king anymore. Chosen, handpicked by God. Labels. But did David accept those labels? No. He probably pitied himself for a while. The Bible says that God did something great. I look at Noah, and God called Noah to build the ark. And then what he goes and does after that, it's another negative label. And then God steps right back in. He takes that negative label away. He fixes the situation. I never thought in all of my life, the sermon was a little bit different for me because I know black preachers, we like to preach. So I like to preach. So for me to actually open up myself like this is difficult. For a child, for me, it was okay. Childhood was okay. I never thought that I would be here. Actually, I always wanted to be in the Secret Service. Yeah. Secret Service. Even though I would never take a bullet for another man, so I'm just being honest. Never thought that I would be. I didn't even think God would even call me. Because I was stupid. I wasn't good enough. Why call me? My dad wasn't in my life, and I had to learn what being a man was by simply going out there and making mistakes. My mom, she loved us. She did the best that she could. But there was times where it was too much. Dealing with a big head, hard-headed little boy. I was bad. Just gotta say I was bad. Always trying to challenge her authority. No respect. I wanted to do my own thing. If I felt like leaving, don't question me. I'm leaving. Deuces. So childhood was a little different. I didn't have the same as most. We lived in very rugged area. I couldn't afford everything new. I mean, I had to wear, if I had a pair of jeans, I just switched the shirts. I made do. I didn't complain. There were times when I wanted more. But I never complained. Grew up, got out on my own, went to Oakwood, did some other stuff, and decided, forget me, I'm going to take care of my family. I would send money home to my mom, and I'm a freshman in college. Struggling. I mean, just struggling. You want to talk about a struggle that was real, you needed to be in my situation. And I would send money home to her. That was just something about my life that I never understood. Why me? Why call me? Maybe that's you. You never really understood what God had for you. You don't know why you're in the ghetto or wherever you are. You don't know why you were born to a family who didn't have much. That's okay. It was in that taught me to be who I am. I'd rather give my own coat off my back to somebody else and freeze. My wife get on to me all the time about that. I give stuff away and never expect it to be given to me. And to be honest with you, it hurts sometimes. It's just like you do so much for people. Nobody does nothing for you. You expect me to give? Or how about this? You got them family members, every time they need something, they call. But wait till you need something. Guarantee you ain't gonna find it. Last thing I'm gonna say for that. I don't know what God has for me. I really don't. But I do know this, is that whatever he has in store for me, I will live it to its fullest. Those hashtags, tell you, mean nothing to me now. Because now I feel loved, I feel accepted. Came into the church, 13 years old. Well, I've been in church all my life, but 13, I got baptized. Told my grandma, I said, God called me. She was like, oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet, you know. I'm like, no, Grandma, like, I heard him. She was like, okay, what I want you to do is pray. I'm like, pray? Like, I'm 13, I don't feel like doing all that. I've just been honest. But when I would go to church, people would flock around me. Like people my age and older. I will be in a group with grown men who will be asking me questions about the word. Like, God, what are you calling me to? Maybe you are like that. You don't know what your life has in store for you. Nobody does. But maybe you've been labeled some things that have affected you in ways nobody would ever understand. And I believe God just wanted me to simply tell you, guys, is that he loves you. He's there for you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. It'll be okay. I don't know your situation, but it'll be okay. Don't take your life. Don't do foolishness. But just hang in there. Everything will be all right. God, I did simply what you asked. And so because of that, I believe that your spirit has spoken to someone in this place. And God, if even if it's at the point where people are like, oh man, he didn't preach. I did what you told me to do. God, I thank you so much just for allowing me to be here. There's no telling what I could be doing or could have been doing. But yet you saw fit to call me and say, Jamon, I need you to speak my love and my grace to people. Even to people who are just like you, they're broken, they're hurt. And so I thank you, God, just for giving me the courage, giving me the strength, for opening up doors that I never thought were open in my life. You have taken me places that I only dreamed of going. And I know the best is yet to come. God, I thank you for each and every individual in this place. You know their hearts, you know their situation, you know their story. And God, right now in this place, I pray that whatever is going on in their life, God, that they will remember that you are the creator, that you can fix, that you can heal, that you can deliver. And God, for that child that's been called stupid, For that child that was told that he or she wasn't good enough. For that child that said because of the situation you've been born into, you would never be anything greater than your parent. God, right now, I pray in the name of Jesus that you will remove those negative labels. Take those hashtags off of them. Let them know that you have something greater in store for them. Pastor, if you will come.